Welcome to the Body Peace Podcast, formerly known as Her Story on a Plate. This podcast has always been a space for deep, nuanced conversations about food, body image, and the stories our bodies carry. But as conversations have grown, so has our mission.
That's why this is now the Body Peace Podcast, a name that reflects what we're truly here for, helping you step off the battlefield with your body and move toward more compassion, connection, and ease.
Each episode will bring real, honest dialogue with your hosts, me, I'm Jennie Kramer.
And me, Nina Manolson. We'll also be joined by guests whose personal stories and professional wisdom offer new ways of thinking, feeling, and being in your body.
We're so glad you're here. Welcome to the Body Peace Podcast. Hi, Nina. It's time to talk about restriction and dieting. I think we talk about it, we talk around it, but it seems to be coming up in a lot of the meetings that you and I have with our clients and our groups, and it makes sense that it would be coming up now. I mean, it comes up all the time, but it makes sense that it would be coming up now. It's bathing suit season, depending on when you're listening to us, but in this moment that we're recording, it's bathing suit season here in this part of the hemisphere. And I think diet and diet culture is always around us, but it's time to talk about what happens when we get really attracted to dieting. I'm sure you experience this with your folks.
Oh my gosh. I honestly think every single client I've worked with has been on, I would say at least 10 different diets, right? Some of the classes I teach, I go, okay, let's call them out. What are all the diets you've been on? And people are like, oh my gosh, it's terrifying. How many years of dieting, how many things I've tried. And I think the first stop I want to take on this journey of exploring restriction and dieting is the allure. It's sexy.
Yes.
It's super sexy. It's like, oh, if I just don't eat this and this and this, then I get thinness, then I win.
Yes. And what's the win, right? The win is I will be thinner. I will never be thin enough, but I will be thinner and I will be better accepted in the world. After all, I'm going to get hired faster, fired last because of my body size. This is the perception of diet culture. And by the way, It's worth saying that multi-billion-dollar businesses usually are sexy, right? There's something that gets to us at the core of our being, like, oh yes, this is something I want. Except when you do.
Well, it's $72 billion. $72 billion of marketing is designed to make it sexy, right? You will, just like you said, I will have success. I will have love. I will be popular. I will do all the things that, make me win in life. And that's the big, sucking sound.
Yes, but
come to the dark side.
But you know what it reminds me of? Tampon commercials where you can ski if you use tampons, and you're left with the idea of, oh my God, all I have to do is use tampons.
And then I'll be able to ski like
Have you ever skied before? No, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be using tampons. So it's
oh my God,
like that. Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. It is, but it is. I know that's an exaggeration, but it really is, right? If you get thin, then all the good things will happen. All the good things will happen, and none of the difficulty that all of life has will happen to you because you are slim.
All right, so let's put this in a frame. The folks listening to us, the folks we work with, they are in a medical system a lot of the time. And in that medical system, there is weight stigma, there is bias, some of which they own, some of which they don't own, some of which they don't even know they don't know. And so you go into any medical setting and you may have, let's say, a high cholesterol level, or you may have anything like that. And what is the first thing that many, many well-intended physicians will say? Well, honey, if you would just drop X amount of pounds, then your cholesterol would go down. There's only one problem with that. It's untrue. That's the point.
Yeah. And Jenny, I want to put an asterisk right there because I want to come back to another show that's just about how to deal with the doctor's office. Because I think that's so important. It happens all the
Yeah,
time,
you bet.
right? To really, how do we go face to face with the medical system that says, if you could just lose some weight, everything, all these numbers, everything would be better.
Right.
So what we're talking about is the allure on so many levels to lose weight, right? There, your doctor, who is supposed to be there to support you, is saying you'll get healthier if you lose weight. The commercial marketing world is saying you will win,
Right.
right? And we think, oh, I'll finally feel at home in my body
Right.
if I just lose weight. And then what does our culture say? Here, the way to lose weight is by restricting,
Yes.
by dieting. So let's get into like why this absolutely doesn't work.
Well, so I prefer the word deprivation, right? I mean, you're restricting your food intake. That is true, right? But what is happening? Well, you're depriving yourself emotionally and physically because you might say, well, all right, but if I go on a plan and they tell me that I make sure that I'm getting all the nutrients I need, how am I depriving yourself? Well, easily, because in the first place, you're not looking at what are my actual hunger cues? What are my actual satiety cues? What I'm being told is eat this, not that, at that time, not this time. Well, what if that doesn't actually fit your natural way of being? And if you say, well, but
Right. And what the
I
thing,
don't have a natural way of being, I lost track of what that is, that's not the way to get it back.
right. And there's two things in there that I want to yellow highlighter. And one is the plan, right? We want the plan, right? I feel lost. I feel a little confused. I don't know how to be in my body. Let me outsource taking care of my body. Let me go to the plan. Let me have somebody else tell me what to do because I've lost the cues, which is fair. There's a million things that derail us from our ability to listen to our body.
Including dieting. I mean, it's
Right.
ironic.
It's
Yeah.
true. No, it's true. Chronic dieting is going to derail us from our hunger cues, our satiety cues, our, what am I in the mood to eat? What do I desire?
Right.
What would give me pleasure?
Right. So pleasure, there's an interesting word, right? Am I allowed to have pleasure with food? Isn't that self-indulgent? Isn't that not the purpose? I say, no, that is not true. The purpose of food primarily is to first give yourself fuel and energy. You need that. Try running a car without gas. It doesn't work. And the difference between us and cars is that we actually get to enjoy the fuel that comes into us if we so choose. And I think there's a lot of guilt feelings, especially women, not
Yeah.
everyone really, but especially women that are made to feel like if I'm enjoying something, it must not be good for me. What a
Well,
pairing
listen
of
to the
ideas.
phrase guilty, right? Guilty pleasure, right? That's literally a phrase we use. Oh, this is my guilty pleasure.
Right,
How is pleasure guilty?
right,
Why can't we just be like, oh my gosh, this is like the best ice cream I've ever tasted. Enjoy have that
right.
experience. Allow that experience,
So here's the irony,
right?
but here's the irony, right? Someone says, okay, I have to be in a thinner body. I'm just physically uncomfortable. I don't like that. I can't walk into a store and buy what I want to buy. And I'm constantly aware of my body. I hate it. Okay, great. I must be smaller. All right. If that's what
Mhm.
what you say, listen, body autonomy, you get to do whatever you think is right. Okay. So what do? You go into a restrictive diet mode, right? What's happening is that you're depriving yourself on every level. If instead you were to say, okay, I'm going to start with getting enough sleep. Then when I get up in the morning, I'm really going to check in and see what would I love to have for breakfast? Now you might say, well, all right, but who has the time? Make the time. Because if you leave it to chance and you just sort of buy something on the way or get something at the cafeteria where you work or whatever, it's not going to work out well. If you take a moment and you say,
Yeah.
okay, what do I need to have in my house so that I can have a variety of things to choose from, to make for breakfast for myself. Maybe if I live with other people, for them too. If not, let them cook for themselves. But I will have enough in my house so that I can make some things for myself quickly and easily and have a variety. I promise you that if you eat the same thing all the time because you think it's safe, it's not safe in the end. You are still
Yeah.
deprived. Yeah.
Well, what you're talking about is a fundamental concept that I talk about also a lot, is the difference between taking away or adding in, right? Diets, that restriction, that deprivation, it's all a taking away. And how do we feel about some things being taken away from us? We don't like it very much.
Right.
And eventually our inner rebel will show up and go, don't take that away from me. You can't take that away from me. I'm going to just take it because I want it, versus an additive model, which is great. I'm going to add in sleep. I'm going to add in hydration. I'm going to add in variety. I'm going to add in breakfast, right? I'm going to add to my pleasure, to my nourishment, to supporting my body.
I love this,
Because
Nina.
you don't.
I love this. And the adding in is hard for some people to hear. I'm already just a pig. How can I possibly add more? It's
Yes.
adding differently. It's
Yeah.
not foraging. It's not binging. It's not that kind of a thing. It's just adding to the variety, adding to the flavor so that you can eat what you like and what you want. Now, I think there is only one place for restriction, and I'll tell you where it is. And that is if you have an anaphylactic allergy. If you have an
Yeah.
anaphylactic allergy, please do not have that thing. But besides that, or if there's something you just simply don't like the taste of, well, for God's sake, don't have that either. But that's really the only conditions I can think of. Or in a
Well,
colonoscopy,
it
perhaps.
gets,
But besides,
well, there's that.
right,
Right. But Jenny, it gets interesting there because, right, I don't have anaphylactic
right,
shock, but I am a pretty acute listener of my body. It's taken me decades to get to this place where I'm tuned in. And I'm like, you know what? Do I love a croissant? Absolutely. I grew up in Montreal. It couldn't, nothing could be better than a pain au chocolat or a fresh croissant. But if I eat them on the regular, my energy just falls apart,
right.
right? Because for me, gluten in any substantial, besides a little bite here or there, I'm not celiac, just depletes me, right? So what we're getting into is, how do we respect our body deeply? How do we respond to
Mm.
our body deeply? And it comes from this place of listening, and not listening from a place of hatred, of like, I don't like you, and so I'm going to do these things to you to make you change. It comes from a place of, I want to work with you because for me, energy is important. It's something I value. I want to feel energetic.
Right.
And so I'm going to support, I'm going to work with my body, respect my body, honor my body that way.
I'm hearing something else too, which is to not come from this place of moral judgment. If I eat this, I am a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I am a self-indulgent person. I am an
Mm-hmm.
irresponsible, slovenly, undisciplined person. All of that made up and untrue. So in your
Yeah.
case, as you're describing, right, here's what you noticed. When I eat this thing, if I eat it in excess or if I eat more than just a bit, I notice that I feel this way. Okay. It takes time to really figure that out, doesn't it? Right? You're not making a
It
moral
does, because
judgment. People who eat gluten are bad
no,
and those who don't are good people. But you realize there are people that walk
no,
around the planet saying that. You should be everybody should be gluten
yes.
free and dairy free.
Everybody should be gluten
That's
free. Everybody should be vegan.
right.
Everybody should be this. Everybody, whatever that everybody should be.
Right.
Right. But what we're talking about, and like you said, it can take a long time because, again, we've been trained out of our responsiveness to our body. It can take a long time first to say, I deserve food. And it's amazing how many times in a week I say this phrase: human beings require food. You are a human being, ergo, you require food. because so many of the women that walk into working with me come from this place of, if I could just eat less, it would be better if I could just eat less.
Because
But we actually
that's the
require
moral
food.
judgment, isn't it? Right?
That's the moral judgment.
Eating less is better. Being thinner is better. It's what the world
Oh,
wants. It's what the world accepts. It goes back so far. There's such a
yeah.
historical start to this. I mean, that's a whole other discussion, but it really, really goes back hundreds of years. And there have been parts in our US history where women were actually told to look a certain way and be a certain way.
Oh, they still are.
Right, exactly. And so I'm hoping now
Mm-hmm.
you can say to yourself, well, okay, wait a second. Yes, I've been a victim of this. My mother was a victim of this. I know other women that are victims of this. My grandmother might have been a victim of this. How do we stop, right? I mean, I can hear our
Yeah.
listeners thinking, okay, I got it. What do we do now?
Yeah.
I say that it starts with your first step, which is this notion of, can I get my mind around, I deserve food. I deserve
Yeah.
intake. I deserve to be fueled. I deserve some variety. I deserve to let it be fun and tasty and nourishing and filling and fulfilling, right?
Right. There's a lot of pieces in that deserving that I want to unpack,
Yeah.
because part of it is I deserve the food, but behind that is I deserve to actually take the time to get the food, to cook the food or order the food, or even I deserve the respect of myself to ask somebody in my household, if there's somebody else who cooks, would you cook food for me? Right?
Yes.
Having to give ourselves permission to make space
Mm.
for nourishment of ourselves versus it being an afterthought. I'll just get it on the way to work. I'll just pick something up. It's like, no, we deserve that time and space for nourishment. It's part of the pleasure of being a human being.
Right. Yes. And I would say, if anybody's listening that I've ever worked with, you're going to yawn because you know you've heard this from me a lot. The next step is to eat whatever you want slowly. This to me is the keys to the kingdom, because before you go to, I'm never eating that again and I can never eat that and don't let me go near that because when I'm near that, I'm just not human. And all, before you go to any of that,
All the stuff.
imagine if you just eat slowly. Why? First of all, it allows you to taste it. So often there's shoveling going on and you don't even actually know what you had. Second of all, give your body a chance to realize that you've eaten. Give your appetite producing and suppressing hormones a chance to interact with each other. Give your brain and your stomach a chance to talk to each other. Food's coming down. Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch that. Okay, get ready, it's coming. Just the slowness of it is what allows you to actually attune to your own fullness, your own hunger cues, and to embrace them.
Yeah. A colleague of mine used to say, staying awake at the plate,
Oh, I love that
right?
expression.
I love that, right? Versus staying awake at the
Yeah.
wheel, right? We want to stay awake at the plate. And part of that is all the things that you just described is actually allowing the cephalic phase response to happen, right? That's the part in our brain that goes, oh, food, digestion, let's get online. Let's be awake at the plate. And it's so important when it's like a nice idea, but there's science and there's brain chemistry and there's biology that goes behind that slowing down. Having said all that, I'm going to fess up. I am a fast eater,
Mm-hmm.
and I work all the time on slowing down. I have to be like, wait a second, look at my food. Look at my food. Notice the colors.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Texture. Who made this food? Where did it come from? Did I make it yesterday? Usually I'm the one doing all the cooking. So I'm like, where did I get this beautiful produce? Did I go to a farmer's market? Did I have it delivered? Like, really sinking into the sensation experience, the sight, the smells, the taste, the ideas behind it, and letting myself immerse into that awakeness at the plate. This is a moment, this is a happening,
Mm-hmm.
actually slows down my tendency to, great, this is a nice meal, yum, 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 and move on because I'm a doer. Let's do the next thing.
Did you hear that sound? That sound you just heard was all of our listeners groaning at the same time, saying, okay, wait, you want me to do what? When I'm feeding a family, I have kids around me, whether they're 5 years old or 25 years old. You want me to what? You want me to sit and take in the smells and think about the sourcing of the food? Yes, we do. It happens pretty quickly. It's simply a
Yeah.
matter of pace. It's really a matter of, I like to call it like an eating metronome, like just move with your natural rhythm as you eat. This could sound like a diety thing. It's not intended that way, but I think it's a way to just sort of train yourself a bit, which is that when you're eating something that normally requires some utensil, with each bite that you take, after you take the bite, just put the utensil down and then pick it up.
I call it landing the plane.
Yes, and then pick it up again whenever it is you want to take another bite, whether it's a second later, 5 seconds later, it doesn't matter. There's something about that that almost forces the brain to just stop for a second, take in the smells, the aromas, the tastes, the textures. Now, I'm also very aware that there are people who have issues with texture and they may not even know it until later in life. And that's okay. Listen to your reactions to things. If you feel like there's a texture that's not tolerable, but it's like the right thing to eat, guess what? It just became the wrong thing to eat. If you can't tolerate the texture, don't. But I do think that the speed or the lack thereof that we eat with is key to the whole picture of things.
It is. I talk about it being like airport takeoff eating, where the plane is always taking off, right? I've got the fork, but it never ever lands. And then landing the plane between bites.
Of course.
Because it's always like, like a little kid, here comes the plane. Well, the plane actually has to land sometimes so that you can chew. And it reminds me of when my kids were little and I would cook. They'd come home. We'd sit down. I'd put the food down. They were like already eating. And by the time I sat down, everybody's halfway through. And then I'm eating fast on the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I even have a stomach ache because I just ate so fast. What happened? What did we eat? And so I implemented the 2-minute meditation. I would say, even when the kids were little, nobody picks up a fork until I am sitting at the table. We're eating together. So they had to wait. Mm-hmm. And then I would pull out my phone and put a timer for 2 minutes. And it wasn't so much for my kids, although they actually really appreciated stopping the action, slowing down, and just taking a minute, 2 minutes to just breathe. I needed those 2 minutes to reset my nervous system, to slow my breathing down, to shift from the whole day, then to cooking, then to getting everybody at the table. And now my turn for nourishment, my turn to eat. And, eventually the kids got older and they were like kicking each other under the table. I didn't care. Those 2 minutes were for me. I wasn't necessarily trying to teach them anything. I was saying, I need space and time to come back into my body so that I can have the experience of eating. Now, they got older and then we would forget and they would be the ones to say, hey, we didn't meditate. Let's have our 2 minutes.
Right.
Because they knew they needed a moment also.
Well, let me say, I think that's an extraordinary thing that you accomplished. It's all that I can do to get everyone, not only at my own table, but at the tables of all the folks I work with, to actually eat without any devices.
It's really hard these days.
Right? If you live with other people and You want to use a meal to commune. I don't care if the meal takes 8 minutes or an hour and a half. It doesn't matter. Put the devices away. I don't care what real estate deal you have that's brewing. I don't care whether you are supposed to be on call all the time. For God's sake, give yourselves and your families just 15 minutes. Put all your phones in a basket, put the basket by the front door, and just look at each other and talk to each other. And if you realize you have nothing to say to each other, that's a moment, isn't it? That's a moment because your head's been
Yeah.
buried in your phone for all this time, right? It reminds me of the what are the highs for today? What are the lows for today? It's such a great
Hmm.
question to just ask at the table, right? Now, if you live alone,
Yeah.
you might say, well, all right, but I need the TV to eat or I need my phone to eat. Okay, I get that. Maybe. But if if you live alone,
My suggestion for people who live alone is music,
yes,
because it can feel lonely.
yes,
Music, a podcast, something that gives you a sense of like, I'm creating a space for myself to be with food. And honestly, phones are always an issue in our family because we are a really techie family. And so the phones get dropped, but there's somewhere like, I don't know, like 3/4 in. We're not quite done, but we're almost done. Someone pulls up some fact and then they're like, let me just tell you exactly what that is. Or let me show you the post. And out come the phones.
welcome.
And as soon as one person picks it up for a fact or a picture or a post or something, I just see we all pick up. And I'm like, oh, this is the phone section of the meal. And everybody's like, oh, no, no, it isn't. Or sometimes they're like, you know what? It is. Nobody's perfect.
Let's talk about one last thing, which I think is what happens when we're in social settings with other people. Maybe we're at a restaurant, right? People take their cues from what other people are ordering. I can't order an appetizer. She didn't order one. I can't order a dessert. They're not having one. That's not intuitive eating. That's comparative eating. And it doesn't work.
Yeah,
And comparative eating is sort of at the heart of dieting and restricting. And that's actually the
it
point.
is.
Imagine just taking a moment to check in and say, what would I like to have? And
Yeah,
really just having an awareness of the things that get in the way of those cues. And sometimes it's the way
yeah,
we read other physical cues. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's alcohol. I mean, look, you want to go out to dinner, have a glass of wine, please do that, right? But even that, sip it slowly,
hmm,
enjoy it so that you're now not immediately craving another because now you've had 2 glasses of something. And by the way, there's no hunger or satiety cues at that point because you're just going to be working on autopilot, I think. So
yeah.
anyway, that's my story about restaurant eating. Okay.
Before we wrap up, I want to take a moment and just look at the way that diet and restriction creates a cycle, right? I think that's so important to come back to that idea of the inevitable falling apart experience
Yes.
that we go through when we start with the yay, I'm going to jump on a diet, I'm going to do this new thing, and we're all
This is the
excited.
one.
This is the one.
This is the one that's
This
going
is
to
the
do it.
one. And it's going to last forever, this one,
Yes.
right?
A lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Hmm.
Absolutely. This is going to be the way I eat forever. I'm never going back. That lasts for 2 days, 2 months, 2 weeks, whatever it lasts. And then that sense of deprivation
Yeah.
comes up, and there's a natural, right? That body autonomy shows up. That part that also feels like you've squashed my needs and my desires come up. And that part's going to take over and go, I'm getting what I want.
Mm.
And then we go, oh, I really blew it.
Yeah.
And then comes the shame and blame game. And that really hurts. Then we feel like a failure. Then our sense of self, our sense of worth crumbles, and we're vulnerable in that place. And that is the place where more diets prey. Oh, you're vulnerable. Oh, you're feeling bad. Here, do this new plan. This is the one. This is the one that's going to really do it for you. And then around we go again.
Yes, it is absolutely cyclical. And it's not even just diets, right? It's also what other magic bullet can I use, whether it's an injectable. And by the way, if that's your choice, there's no judgment here. Maybe it's bariatric surgery. That'll be the thing that stops me from myself. I know it. That's really the thing I need to do. After all, they said if I do bariatric surgery, it'll cure my diabetes. Okay, I get it. Body autonomy is about you making the choices you want to make for yourself. No one gets to judge them. But for God's sake, if you're going to make a judgment or a choice for yourself, do it with education, do it slowly, do it with thoughtfully, and really do it with what resonates for you. It doesn't resonate ever to restrict or deprive, because at some point, your mind, your body, and your soul will catch up and say, wait a second, we've been deprived. We need our equal share. And that's when it all falls apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So more to come on this subject. I think it's a hardy subject.
It is. It is. And it feels so important to sort of in to the reality of being a human with needs and desires.
Yes.
And that is so essentially a human experience. And that includes our relationship with food.
Well said, Nina.
All right. Well said, Jenny. Thank you so much for another juicy conversation.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
We're so glad you joined us on this episode of Body Peace.
Stay connected as we continue exploring what it means to live in your body with more ease, trust, and care by subscribing to Body Peace on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen.
Be sure to visit us at bodypeacepodcast.com for special bonus content for those on our mailing list.